Okay, we are so excited to be bringing you guys this series this month, in the month of May. It's all about leadership. So Amy is actually going to kick us off with the first masterclass of May. I'm so excited. All right, take it away, Amy.
Hey guys, okay, I'm just checking the live. Some people are on. All right, here we go. The numbers are going up. Hey guys, how's it going? I am so excited about this series because, leadership is often a misunderstood word, and it can mean many things to many people. I think sometimes people think, you heard the term naturally born leaders. Sometimes a title makes you a leader. Others point to these characteristics that people have. But what John Maxwell says is that leadership, plain and simple, nothing more, nothing less than influence. And that's something we've been talking a lot about in this group. And Les Brown, that we all know and love, he talks about how there's no such thing as a natural born heart surgeon, right? That's a skill that must be learned and practiced. Same with leaders. Even though you hear the term a naturally born leader, all of the experts will tell you that it's something that's created through hard work and focused learning. Right? So what makes a great leader isn't their title, it's not their rank, it's their ability to influence people around them, and it's a skill that you continually can learn and improve upon. So that is why we're so excited for this series. And guys, whether you like it or not, everyone is a leader. You do not have to be a jewel. You don't even have to have business builders on your team. Everyone is a leader, whether you have one person as a customer or you have 10,000 people. Even in your everyday life, if you're a parent, you're a leader, right? Because leadership is nothing more than influence. So one of the key things we want you guys to do, especially here as we're going through this series, you guys want to switch from personal development to leadership development. This is what's really, really important, because ultimately, remember, leadership is not discovered, it is developed. All right. And so let's talk about a few steps and a few things around that, what the basics of being a leader means, and kind of how you can develop a little bit about that, right? One, you have to start seeing yourself as a leader. You have to stop with the self-doubt, stop with the negative talk. Oftentimes I hear people say, well, I'm just not a leader yet. I'm not a leader. I don't act like a leader. I've never had the title. I've never had the job. I don't have the experience. You have to stop that. Okay? Because everything you do, every action you take is you being a leader. So you have to see that these actions have consequences. They can be good or they can be bad. One of the biggest things you can do, right, is your influence. Your influence for not only your potentials, but also specifically for this series, your team. Right? Influence is big. As you grow your influence, that is your leadership. Okay. Sorry, I need you out, please. Thank you. It's why Sarah and I are so adamant that you be seen on our team pages, okay? It's not for us, guys. It's for you. It's that influence. Doing that, being visible, shows your team that sets you up as a leader. They see you as a leader. And one of the key things to that influence is being the rock star, okay? Because when you are doing the things that you want your team to do, they see you as the leader. So you have to be your own rock star. You can't find your rock star and rely on them and think that's when you will become a leader. Oftentimes, I think people, and I've seen it and I've heard it from people on my team, they think being a leader means they have to have all the answers and they have to tell people what to do. And they have to require certain things of their people, right? So often I've heard people say, well, I have to have a team page. They have to be on team calls. They have to do these things because I'm their leader. That's how I lead them. But that's not a leader. That's a dictator, right? Leaders inspire. Leaders have impact. And leaders have that influence over their team. And the number one way you can have that influence is to do. Okay, be in activity. Do the things that you want your team to do. So you can't tell them to be active on the team page if you're not. You can't expect your team to do three-way calls with potentials if you're not. You can't expect your team to recruit if you're not. And a lot of times people kind of look at leadership as what they must do instead of what they must be. Okay, so stop focusing on what you need to do and instead focus on who you need to be as a leader. When people are treated as individuals and they are valued, you start to develop that positive influence with them. And then the trust grows. And then that eventually leads to respect. And that becomes a positive environment where they start to see you as a leader, right? Then take it a step further. Leaders who actually produce results, they build their influence and credibility hugely, right? And people will follow you as a leader, not because of necessarily your title, but because of your production, of what you produce, what you do. So leading and influencing becomes fun when you do it with your team and when you're very vulnerable and you stop looking at that leadership as having all the answers. In fact, I would say that as a leader, you should talk even more about your failures than you do your successes. Because look, people aren't going to buy into your successes if they don't know about your failures, right? So be vulnerable with your team. Be vulnerable with your people. Now, don't confuse this with a negative mindset, okay? Because I think oftentimes we can confuse vulnerability and telling your team, you know what, I've had the same setbacks. I've had the same struggles, but you've overcome them. You want to overcome them. Don't confuse that with a negative mindset where you just get in this place where you are complaining with your team or staying focused on the negative, right? So we want to talk about our failures and how we overcame them. And that is really all what leadership is, you guys. And again, leadership is something that whether you like it or not, you are in this business. I hear people tell me sometimes, well, I didn't sign up to be a leader. Well, here's the thing, guys. The minute you shared Plexus and you asked somebody to order from you or join your team, you became a leader. Right? And you now have a responsibility. It's not a right. It's not something you can choose to do whether you want to or not. It's your responsibility when you share this company, you share these products, you have become a leader. And so I think one of the most important things is realizing that and being excited about it. And don't think that that means then you have all this responsibility where you have to have all the right answers, you have to have everything figured out. And then you have to kind of, spill all that to your team. Leadership is just about your influence. So oftentimes when Sarah and I say, your team will model your behavior, we are building you up as a leader. We are trying to develop you into a leader. Just you being seen increases your influence as a leader. You being at a watch party on Saturday, that elevates your status as a leader, right? So that is kind of the basics of leadership. Now, it's a very complicated idea, leadership. There are many facets to leadership. There are many ways to grow as a leader and develop into a leader. In fact, Sarah and I are constantly learning and constantly growing. That's what this whole series is going to be about. But one thing we really wanted to talk about today, because I think one of the most important kind of responsibilities as a leader is growing other leaders. That's what you want, right? You want to grow leaders on your team. And often it's kind of confusing or overwhelming. You don't know how to do that. You don't know how to choose. You don't know, how do I lead others? So Sarah is going to talk about how you choose people and how you kind of coach them. And again, you don't have to have leadership all figured out to do what Sarah is going to kind of walk you through.
Yes, and I wanted to add to that too. Leadership, it's not even about Plexus. I know Amy mentioned that, I didn't sign up to be a leader. I didn't sign up to be a leader. In life in general, take Plexus outside of this. Even if you're not a parent, take the family unit outside of it as well. In life in general, you're a leader of you. Like, you represent your own little leadership community, your friends, the people that admire you. Just in general life, these leadership qualities and capabilities and all that kind of stuff. If you can grow your leadership lid and your leadership ideals and your leadership abilities and capabilities, you're going to be so much more successful in whatever you do in life, right? And so what it boils down to with influence and leadership hand in hand, because those two are the same, is it boils down to love, connection, service, and impact. You serve the people that you lead. And this is all about service, building others up to go, before you and above you and be better than you. It's all about that legacy and that impact. So if just cut through all of the other things, and if you can lead with love and service and build others to be better than you, that's leadership. It's not a position. It's not a rank. It's not anything that like a dictatorship, like what Amy said. It's truly about serving others. How can you best impact and serve the other person that you're talking to? Okay. So a lot of times, as leaders, we can get caught up in trying to kind of bring everybody along with us, right? And a lot of times we can really end up sinking our own ship because of this. So, just say me, raise your hands, put a 1, whatever beneath this. If you have ever signed somebody up before and thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be my next rock star, and then literally nothing happens, and you get frustrated and you push them and you try and make it happen because you see so much potential in them, but literally nothing happens, and then you beat yourself up for it, right? And you waste all this time on them and you try and drag them along with you. You guys, tell me if you have been there, because I have certainly been there. I know Amy's been there. Oh my gosh, it is one of the most frustrating things, right? And so what we want to do today is to kind of help you guys avoid that, avoid those pitfalls, avoid that wasted time. I want you guys to kind of envision success. In this instance, okay, we'll talk diamond, emerald, sapphire, diamond. Envision rank success as climbing a mountain. And as you sign new people into this business, you kind of determine, who you're going to bring with you on the climb up the mountain, right? So some are going to stay at the bottom and they don't want to even take that first step onto the hill. They want nothing to do with it. Some are going to say, yes, I want to climb the mountain. Diamond sounds amazing. I want to go up that mountain with you, and I'm going to do it all the way, right? So you start climbing, and you're climbing all together. And then I'm just going to throw a name out there. Jenny sits down. She says she's tired, and you encourage her and you tell her, keep on going, girl. We got this. Let's go up the mountain. And you ask her again, do you want to be diamond? Do you want to go up the mountain? Do you want to reach the top? And she says, yes. So instead of helping her stand back up and start walking again, instead you put her on your back and you start carrying her up the mountain. Then suddenly 2 more people say the same thing. And you ask them the same question, and they go, I didn't realize it was going to be this hard. My feet are tired. Can you carry me too? I want to sit down. So you put them on your back too. And then 2 more people do the same thing. And your feet are starting to move slower and slower under that weight. Your back is hurting, you're achy, you're exhausted, and you're resenting the people on your back, right? And you have to take a different route because you can't make the climbs that you were used to making with all this extra weight on your back. And you're struggling and you get slower, your pace gets slower. And yet you have 6 people walking freely beside you, along with those 8 people on your back. But you're causing those 6 people are energized. They're wanting to do this. They're ready. They want this. But they're waiting for you because you're the one that holds the map and the key and you know the way to the top, right? And so they have to slow down to keep up with your pace. And you guys, you weren't meant to climb this mountain holding people on your back, right? Is that kind of a hard thing to hear? You weren't meant to do that. That's impossible. That's not the best way. So the leader always determines the pace of the pack. And sometimes as a leader, we have to make the really hard decision to say it's okay to leave somebody behind, that it's okay to allow them to go at a slower pace and walk a little bit slower behind you. Because each person that you put on your back steals time, energy, focus, your ability to navigate. You have to take different routes and speed from those walking beside you and ready to run. So you are literally stealing all of those things and success from the people that genuinely want this because you are focusing on the ones that are on your back. That is the problem with the way that we kind of spend our time and the way that we determine who we pour into in this. This isn't about a popularity contest. This isn't about showing favoritism or anything along those lines. And quite frankly, it's not about ignoring those people that want to climb on your back, right? You still want to be friends with them. You still want to support them. You still want to call them and say, hey, are you up 10 feet yet? You know, how are you doing? Let me give you some advice, that sort of thing. But you're not spending the time linking arms and walking beside and partnering with them. You're spending time linking arms and walking with the people that are ready to keep pace with you, take the steps on their own, and do the action. It's not lip service. It's not words. It's about the action. You guys, anybody can tell us that they want to get to the top of this mountain, right? Or to diamond. But what it boils down to is their action, their grit, their decision to move their 2 feet forward every single day, and their decision to pick themselves up and dust themselves off when they get to a plateau and figure out the course with you, right? So it's not up to you to necessarily lead them solely. You cannot bring others success, but what you can do is help walk through this with them, beside them, holding their hand, mapping it out with them, right? So our goal here is to help all of you guys become star makers. You want to build up rock stars beneath you, and they can be built. And in fact, the majority of the time they have to be built. If you hit a lottery and you signed a rock star underneath you, you guys, bravo. Stop looking for new rock stars though, because those are very, very rare. They're like a shooting star, very, very rare. But what you want to do is equip and empower and inspire those that you're going to partner with and reach the top, right? So that's where the coaching comes into play. Mm-hmm. But you have to determine, first of all, who those people are going to walk with and who you want to pour into and spend the time with on this journey. And honestly, at the end of the day, your goal is to become completely insignificant in your business. Literally not needed in your business. That is your goal. You are working yourself out of the job because you are pouring into those people that want this so badly that you become obsolete. You don't need me. You don't need Sarah. You don't need Amy, right? We become obsolete to you because you are running and you get this and you know it and you're running, right? You're going forward. You're climbing the mountain without us, and we become a non-issue. Your sponsor becomes a non-issue, right? So I know it's one of those things where you want to be needed, and you've got to kind of get over that because you're developing people with the goal of them not needing you anymore. Your goal with this little mountain scenario is to basically shine the flashlight behind them so that they can walk the path, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you determine who to partner with? I think that's the big question. So I want you guys to look at 4 different things. First of all, these are like the basic things that you need to focus on and who to determine when you're thinking of these lists of people, when you're thinking through your team. And there's going to be people that fit these criteria that we'll get to later that end up saying, oh gosh, okay, they fit all my criteria, but they're not taking the action, right? So this is just the baseline of who you should be looking at. I call it the 4 C's. First is chemistry. You guys, you have to like the person that you're coaching, otherwise it's going to be miserable, right? You guys need to like each other. You guys need to have some sort of chemistry. Character is huge because integrity, honesty, loyalty, people have to trust them. And if they're constantly breaking trust, you're wasting your time because they're not going to have influence. They're not going to become a leader. They need to work on their character first. And it's fine to have that conversation, but they need, and that's a tough one, right? But they need to work on their character first before you invest time in them. You've got to surround yourself with people of character and integrity. Number 3, and this goes for you, it goes for me, it goes for Amy, it goes for everybody listening to this, is coachability. They have to be willing to partner with you in your coaching. They have to be willing to listen, and they have to be willing to learn, right? And you have to be willing to be coachable and learn. That's, a little side note. you can never stop being coachable. You can never stop learning, because then you put a lid and a cap on your success. Okay. So coachability is huge. If they're not willing to listen to you, how are you going to coach them? Right. And then the last thing, the last C, is commitment. They truly have to be willing to be committed to success. It's grit. You guys know that's my favorite word, but commitment, grit, commitment to get to the top of the mountain at above all costs. So chemistry, character, coachability, and commitment. Those are the 4 C's. So I kind of want to pause this right now and talk about a really simple concept that I think will really help you guys kind of get out of the mindset. And really, if you're thinking about your sponsor too, and maybe your upline isn't the best mentor and that kind of thing, I want you guys to realize this. You're not responsible for someone's success. You are responsible to their success. You cannot make them successful. You cannot force success upon them. You're not responsible for that. What you're responsible for, or to, is to lead them up the mountain, to lead them to success, to equip them, to encourage them, and to help them navigate their way. But you cannot make them take the steps, right? So that's a big one. And you also, this is the second thing that's also big, and this is hard because I'm a people pleaser, right? This is a huge one. You will not ever create a dynasty or a crazy amount of success by being everything to every single person. So it's really difficult. This is a really difficult byproduct of success, but you have to learn to leave people behind, and that it's okay. You have to accept it and be okay with it. And I'm not meaning this in a mean or negative way. They're simply not going to be the person walking beside you, right next to you in this Plexus journey. Are you still friends with them and have a relationship with them and all those things? Yes. Don't ignore them or be mean to them or like cut them off. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about business terms. It's a huge one to be able to be okay, because we're all leading our friends here, right? So that's a hard thing.
That's probably the hardest, because not only are you friends with a person, but it might be somebody that you know would be successful. And I have seen, even now, even at this level, I catch myself dragging people along and spending way too much time pulling, hoping, wishing they would be the 4 C's, right? Wishing they would be coachable and committed, and they are not. So that is one of the hardest lessons. And I think the sooner you learn that, the better.
Absolutely. Because it's that whole mountain thing, right? You don't want to be crawling or climbing up that mountain or crawling with too many people on your back, right? So it's really an intentional thing. It's an intentional thing, and you want to have a system in place. So I'm going to kind of talk through the system, for everything. But you want to have a system in place for onboarding to navigate them through their goals. Monday, you guys mark your calendars for Monday. We're going to be laying out some more of our systems for really, really simple duplication. And it's going to piggyback on top of everything that we're talking here. But you guys, for right now, that 2-7-30 is a prime example of how to do this, how to coach your way through the first month, right? So, but coaching definitely means not wasting time, right? You want to make this task oriented, something that you can see if they're following through on. So you want to, like, for instance, if you're coaching somebody that first started and you tell them to make their first post within the next 48 hours, you don't just check back in with them, right? You say, make your first post within 48 hours. And once you have done that, call me. Call me when you have done that. That way, if they never call you again, yeah, you need to check back up on them a couple days later, but it's not a full-on message and it's not a full-on handhold. Just, hey, you said you were going to call me when you made that first post. Did you make the first post, right? But you're giving them action items. They have to go post and they have to call you. And guess what the beauty in that is right there? So this isn't just about the first post. It's about all of this. Like anytime that you are coaching a leader, coaching somebody else, you make them message you back or call you back when they have finished what tasks you have laid out for them, so that they cannot blame you for their lack of success, right? They have to do something, then they have to seek you back out for the next step when they have done it. I cannot tell you how many times as a leader I've been blamed for somebody else's lack of success. That's not fair. I'm just being very blunt. That's not fair. You are in charge of your own success. Okay, so maybe you're doing a little bit advanced coaching. You want them to go live. You want them to expand their network, reach out to like a chicken list or something like that. You want to make sure that these things that you're giving them are visible things, and you always want to put the ball back in their court, so that you know when they're doing, and they are in charge of that. They are in charge of, okay, I did this, now I want the next step. The requirement has to be action to get the benefit of your time to them, okay? And your time, this little concept is going to change your business, because you want to be focusing all your time on people that are desperately wanting your help and are putting action and feet to your help and your words and your time. Otherwise, your time needs to be spent on your own personal business, right? We can't spend all our time coaching our teams. We'll cut off the life source to our team, which is us adding new people, us adding and prospecting and growing our own network and growing our own business. So really, truly, this is really easily used with all the systems we're going to lay out, the 2-7-30 that we laid out to you guys, I think it was last week. And so as you're going through this and as you're coaching everybody, the most important thing to think about is that through this coaching, the best way that people are going to learn is by seeing you do it too. You need to model this stuff for them. And what I mean by that is do it with them. So I do, we do, you do. Think about that concept. So 3-way chats. They're prospecting. You're in the 3-way chat with them. So that's a I do. Like, I'm taking main control of that 3-way chat. I'm prospecting. I'm talking to the person because they're brand new. The next one or the next 3, whenever you get to that next stage, when you start to get that they realize this, we do. We're both going back and forth and doing the 3-way chat together. And then as they advance on to that next stage, the you do, they're running it, you're providing just full-on backup or observation. And then eventually it gets to a point where they fly on their own, right? And that's with every single thing within this business. They truly need to see how to do things. They need that navigation. They need to model what you do. You're successful, so they need to model what you're doing and what you're saying and everything like that. So everything that you're basically doing is an opportunity for them to learn. So just be really transparent with how you run your business when you've selected somebody to coach and to bring up in this business. And then once you go through that, like I do, we do, you do stage, you move on to accountability. And then that last stage is momentum. And you guys, this isn't just for your level 1s. This is for, levels 1 through 4, or taprooting into your team. Because let me tell you the beauty of taprooting. If you guys aren't familiar with that term, it's basically, say you have a level 1 that signed up, and then they signed somebody, or maybe they went silver, and then they decided, this business isn't for me. They became one of the people that sat down on the mountain, right? But they've got these other 2 people beneath them, and you're thinking, you know what? Well, that level 2 or that level 3 or 4 of mine, I need to just reach out to them and see, do they have the 4 C's? Are they somebody that I could see major potential in and I could see as the next rising star on my team? That it's called success, like coming up through their team. Because if say Amy was my level 4 and I noticed that, oh man, that girl, I see some potential in her. I'm going to reach out to her. I'm going to coach her. I'm going to spend some time on her. And then that causes my level 2, 1, 2, and 3 to start having some success. And then they start to be like, oh man, maybe I can do this business too. And it awakens the whole team. And that's a beautiful thing when that happens. So don't just stop this at your level 1s. But every 90 days, what I want you guys to be focusing on is you want to be focusing on creating a new story within your team. You want to be looking for that new person, a new story to create, a new story, a new person to run with. And I want you guys talking to your leaders about that too. Who's your next story? Who's the next person that's going to be the superstar on your team? Who's the next person that you're going to help rise up? And then spend 90 days pouring into them. You guys, you want to move them efficiently through these processes, efficiently through learning every little bit of this, our systems, our team, the business, and that kind of thing. And at some point, they do need to fly outside the nest, right? So you go through these stages, and one thing, so you want to help them prospect, recruit, onboard, teach, train, coach themselves. Like you want to teach people how to coach as well. And then the accountability part is the lasting part. Like you guys want to band together in accountability because, you know, we all need accountability. I do accountability with Amy constantly because it keeps me running. With Amanda, like with my people that are running in this business with me, we hold each other accountable. And so there's two types of very extreme leaders. And I want you guys to realize that either of these two types will kill your business. And I've been actually both of these two types. I'm one of those people that swings the pendulum too far when I overcorrect, right? And so we're dealing with our friends in this business. We are leading our friends. And so some of those times you can need to have really tough conversations, and it's done out of love. And there's just two types of leaders that could cause some issues on your team. So number one is the friend to everybody. Everybody's my friend. It's all sunshine and roses, rainbows and unicorns. Oh, Amy, it's okay, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then, so that's one side. And then the other side, which I have been, I actually think I started out on this side, is the like fiery, angry, ranting leader, like the dictator that Amy talked about. You do this, and you know, that kind of thing, the hard and fast rule. You guys, you want to be in the middle of those two, but you want to lead with love and service. Okay, so it's okay as you're leading your friends. Both of those are going to kill your business over the long term in different ways, but they're going to kill your business. So as you're leading your team and you're coaching these people, they're going to be your friends, and you're going to need to say tough things to them, but it's done out of love. And there's a difference between demanding somebody do something or tearing them down or something like that, or ignoring the problem, which can sometimes be worse. You want to be able to give them constructive criticism in a very loving and constructive way. So that kiss, kick, kiss scenario, you know, you want to give them like, look, I love you. I am doing this because I want nothing but success for you. But if I told you something that was going on in your business that I think was holding you back, would you want me to tell you? And yes, most people are going to say yes. And then you reiterate that I'm telling you this because I love you. Amy, I want nothing but success for you. I'm not saying this in a critical manner, so I want to work through this with you, but I'm seeing blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Okay. So, and you're coming from a place of love and criticism when you're coaching, and a partnership and service. But you have to be willing to have those hard conversations. And if you're not, you're wasting your time coaching because you're not helping them. Right. You're not moving them forward. You're not growing them as a person if you're not pointing out where they're like being held back. And a lot of times people have these invisible things that you can see, but they can't see what's holding them back. They don't know what they're doing, you know, they're learning. And so the first couple times doing that is going to be really hard, but you have to do it scared because it's done with love for this person. It's not done because you want to have success yourself. It's done because you want them to have success. And you know, this is their stopping point. This is their lid. This is where they're going to not have a breakthrough because of it. So, you know, as you're going through these coaching sessions, I'm sorry, this is going long, but I'll try and wrap it up really quick. As you're going through these coaching sessions, it goes through these stages. You go through the modeling stage where you're there with them, you know. You go through the action stage where you're doing it together, they're doing it, and then you go through the accountability stage. And the accountability stage is what leads to momentum. And I want you guys to look at this as the beauty of, like, if you're teaching somebody all the basics in the business over 90 days, you're pouring into them, they are feeling connection. They are feeling love. They're not going to leave here because you're adding value to them so much, and they are seeing that you genuinely care about their success. And so as you're doing that, they're going to feel more confident in bringing other people in, and then they're going to start doing that same thing. This is duplication at its very basic. And as you duplicate these coachings, as you duplicate all the processes that we're laying out for you guys, it builds confidence, empowerment, And it builds duplication of coaching and developing leaders. And eventually, at the end of the day, that's what you're after. You're not wanting to duplicate talent. You're wanting to duplicate heart, service, our processes, our systems. You're wanting to duplicate what works. I can't duplicate my talent. I can't duplicate what I do to be successful from a talent perspective. What I can duplicate is our system. And what I can duplicate is the 2-7-30 and the 3-way calls and the 3-way chats and the sending the third-party tools and our smart prospecting. All of those things are duplicatable. But if you're trying to duplicate talent, you're going to come to an end, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to go through these coaching calls just like that. So it's a basic 90-day process, and hold yourself accountable to that. Put some stop gaps in there. Figure out, okay, this is my plan. We're going to have this amazing thing. I'm so excited about it, you guys. We're going to have this amazing thing to roll out to you guys on Monday with our onboarding process and this whole coaching deal and how to keep yourself accountable and bring others success and launch people strong. We're going to have that at your fingertips. So you have a concrete document to go off of, right? So I want you guys to really start looking at these in 90-day increments. Who is the next story that you're going to create? Where's the potential on your team? Who do you need to be doing these with? And it's not just one person at a time, right? You can coach multiple people at a time, and then you put them all in an accountability chat together or a group, and you create that connection of like-minded people at the similar spot in their journey. And then you start it over again, 90-day cycles, 90-day cycles. So I want you to ask yourself, who is the next story on your team? And then I want you to ask your leaders who their next story is on their team. And then take it from there. That's all I have. Amy, did you have anything to add?
I just want to make sure and reiterate those 4 C's that you brought up, because it's so important. I think oftentimes, especially when you get a new person, all of a sudden you see their network, they give you lip service to, let's say, Fast Start Goal, they give you lip service to success, and you start wanting to coach them. You even start wanting to maybe correct them on things or point things out that they could do, that they are not meeting those 4 C's and they are not ready.
Yeah.
When you get ready to coach somebody, it has to be where something you say to them, like, we are in a coaching situation, right? Do you want to be coached by me? I think oftentimes we see the potential. We maybe even see they added 3 people this month. They don't want to be coached. They don't want to be in that type of. So just keep those 4 C's in mind. I think those are really important. And the other thing, I know we're going to get into this later, people are going to come in and out of that.
Yep.
People are going to come in and out of your kind of people that you're walking beside up the mountain. And that's when it's hard, when you have to let go.
That's when those action items and then call me back becomes so important. And you guys, that can be a blow to your ego, but it's not about you. It's about them, and it's about timing. And I've had a lot of people come back and then really run and be ready, right? Yeah. But for self-preservation, for mindset, for success, you have to be willing to say, call me back when you've done that task. Yeah. And then that's
so important. Yes. Because then, I have spent way too much time chasing people down, trying to get the next call scheduled because I want it for them. I want them to be successful. But that's such a good point that it really is on them. It's their success, right? And we're here to help them with that, but it has to be on them.
Yep. And so I'll just go over the 4 C's again: chemistry, character, coachability, and commitment.
I typed them in the comments as you were talking.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay. So if you guys have any questions about that, I have not been able to see the comments while I've been doing this. So if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to talk you through that and figure out, as we get started on this, what the best way is. But you guys, this coaching, it's imperative. It's going to be the thing that changes your business, but the way you coach is really going to change your business. Nobody wants to be spinning wheels. All right. We will see you guys on Monday for our next masterclass. Bye.
Bye, guys.